Ugh, hey guys, Sheik the Geek here. I guess this will be the part 2 video to the Mystic Mouse Melee tournament at Warpstorm Games and Lounge out in South Milwaukee. Um, I'm back home now. I was there earlier, uh, about a little under an hour away from where I live. Not too far. I think it's about 15 minutes or so. 15 to 20 minutes from where Pink Bunny is located. If you could make a straight line from there. But there's an airport in the way, so you can't do that. So you have to go around the airport to get to there from Pink Bunny. But had a big turnout. They didn't get to 48, which was their player cap, but they got 26. They needed 10 for the Enchanted Mickey, which obviously, if you count the entry was about $30. 10 times 30 is 100 or 300, so that would have been the value of the Mystic Mickey, a little over technically, depending on how you look at it. But I believe they had 26 people. It was either 26 or 28. A couple people did drop after the end of round 3 because they were 0-3. This was my first big competitive tournament. Also just got confirmation that the person that I know, one of my friends who I play with at Coliseum Games, actually won the event. So congrats to him for winning the card. After first round, I had no shot at winning. I kind of knew it. He actually went, I believe, undefeated. My friend did. Yeah, I think he had one intentional draw, which was the last round. Because him and the other person were both guaranteed in, and he ended up winning the whole thing, which I believe he was playing Amber Steel. Amber Steel Song, the meta deck. Couple of things where I really wanted to get into it for the, I guess, the tournament report. Especially for new TCGs like this, playing competitively is completely different than playing casually. You're almost essentially playing a different game. I'm fortunate that I played Yu-Gi-Oh very early on and Magic very early on, and even Pokemon very early on, learning those formats, those metas, learning casual play versus competitive play, learning the rules of the game and rulings. That when you play competitively for the first time after playing casually, it's completely different. It's almost like you're playing a different game in some cases. For newer players and casual players who strictly are casual, it can be very overwhelming to learn all the stuff you have to learn right off the bat. But also, I'm one of those people who I don't take formats or metas where there's only a few sets very seriously, especially for new games like this one. Like, this game's just started and there's only one set of 200 cards. Being competitive in this right now is almost irrelevant because the format's going to change as soon as the next set comes out. That's not the same for Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Magic that already have established formats and meta decks, where the next set that comes out probably won't even do anything. It may only add 1 or 2 relevant cards, and then that's it. The rest of the set is just trash. For this game, however, there's definitely winners and losers and standouts. Two of the biggest meta decks, which I was actually expecting, which were Amber Steel and then Ruby Amethyst Control. Those are like the two most popular, most played decks right now. Those are definitely the two strongest meta decks. My deck that I played, which was Amethyst Sapphire, was designed in such a way so that I would have a great matchup against both those decks, because neither deck should really play item destruction, because I was playing no item deck. Neither of those decks play item removal consistently, and neither of those decks can deal with evasive creatures consistently. But unfortunately, I did absolutely terrible the entire day. My one win for my 1-5 record was from the person who dropped round 4. That's my only win the entire day, and I didn't even play him. chances are if I had actually played him, I probably would have lost. I believe I was the only person who was playing that color combination for the tournament, which obviously it's absolutely terrible. Um, my original deck idea I playtested on Thursday, which was Steel Emerald, just did not come together. There will be 2 people playing that today in the tournament. They also did not do well. They actually had to play against each other, and that matchup is whoever goes first wins. My initial deck, which was that I've been playtesting for like the last month or so, which was Steel Amethyst, probably would have did better, which was basically just, as I call it, character vomit deck or purple vomit. I probably would have did better. Aggro definitely had some favorability in this tournament. Among the people who were playing, the majority were playing Steel, which you can see the player list here. You can't see deck lists or anything. We did have to submit a deck list, but those aren't going to be posted, I don't believe. But yeah, I think the majority were playing Steel. Obviously, my friend who won the tournament was playing Amber Steel. I've played him before. You just get pooped on with my other decks. You really have to be playing a specific deck to beat those decks, but with only 1 set worth of cards, it's very difficult to play something that's non-meta or even off-meta and be able to do well with it and win. I believe if I tweak my Amethyst Steel deck, I can probably do a little bit better until the set 2 comes out, which thankfully set 2 comes out in a month, not too much longer to wait. Almost exactly a month away. It's like about 39 days. But I'm looking forward to that set release. But yeah, I definitely wanted to come to the tournament because I had today off, which is Saturday, to at the very least play in a format and learn how this game's gonna pan out competitively. Even though set 2 is gonna change everything, too many people aren't gonna move off of Ruby Sapphire or Amber Song just yet. Those decks only get stronger with set 2 unless they print specific counter cards that deal with them. And we've already seen some very strong cards for Steel, and Emerald's getting a pretty huge boost in this next set. I don't know if it'll be enough to make that deck tier 1 or meta relevant just yet, because there's really no meta relevant combinations with Emerald just yet. But the groundwork is there, and it already has some of the pieces because it has those great 3 lore, those very weird 2 lore creatures like Cheshire Cat and Flynn, and the even weirder 5-drop creatures Cuzco and Mad Hatter that have 3 lore on them that just have dumb abilities that can do things. It just needs more consistency here and there. Otherwise, the deck is just dropping random characters that do things, which is why the deck has really no cohesion. As for my matchups in the actual event, round 1 I played Ruby Amethyst, which was the only one I actually played the entire day. It was the only one, and I lost. That matchup, it was just a straight loss for me. Once they get Aladdin down, 7-drop Aladdin, there's nothing I can do. I just lose. I didn't think Aladdin was that strong at first, but he really is just that strong. Especially if he is shifted into, so he can actually attack that same turn. It's the setback in losing the character, and if they have the shield, which he actually did to restand him in so he can swing again, that's just too much of a power play. The lore difference is too great, and it's almost impossible to recover. Because of this tournament, I'm actually working on my own variant of Ruby Amethyst moving forward. I'll probably be playtesting that next month at some point after I go back to Amethyst Steel and refocus and rebuild that deck. But yeah, my deck is basically, I was ramping to try to get the Tamatoa with items out and then just win. I have the low curve, no real mid game other than just playing characters, and then end game. I almost never got Tamatoa out in any of my actual games, and when I did, he got removed. So it was just pretty bad for me. And when I needed my evasive creatures, my Pascals, or my Biding Her Times to get the lore advantage, I couldn't draw them. So that's just how it went. I believe rounds 2, rounds 2, 3, and 4. Well, not 4 because I didn't play 4. Rounds 2 and 3, I played Amber Steel and I just lost. Round 2, the guy was playing like a weird rushdown variant of Amber Steel, which I lost to, surprisingly. Um, he had his Lilo every game with Simba to bodyguard it. You can't do anything about that. So he had first turn Lilo, second turn Simba. Simba is a bodyguard he's a beefy 2/3 on turn 2. You can't really kill him. Lilo gets to swing a second time for the lore advantage, and then that was pretty much it. My deck not having any lower cost, just removal, kind of hurt in that matchup. So I just have to let them play their creatures or their characters. I can't deal with them. If they have more lore out than I do, they just win. If they just quest every turn, because I can't keep up if I don't have the same amount of lore. It's not even a close race or a fair race. I just lose. Round 3 was more of a metatypical Amber Steel. I just lost to that matchup as well. I don't think he did anything unique or different. It's just couldn't get any of my lower cost guys out, my 1, 2s, and 3s, so I lost that one. Round 4 was a guy who dropped, which is my only win. Round 5, it was actually another Ruby Amethyst, but he didn't have all the high-end expensive control pieces in his build. Like, he didn't have Elsa's at all. He did have an Aladdin, which really only reason he won game 2 was he had Aladdin at the very end. He was able to shift it, hit my guy, set me back. Both games were oddly close. Like game 1, I had Tamatoa after 8 ink, and he had Dragonfire, which killed it. I didn't manage to get my Ward Aurora out earlier or first, so it was able to just remove it, and then that was it. So not much for the games themselves, because all the games were, in my opinion, pretty bad. They were pretty one-sided for my opponent. I really couldn't do a whole lot. But lesson learned, I specifically wanted to play a different deck. I didn't want to play meta for this event. Most of the people who did have meta decks, but not everyone did. But like I said, Steel was obviously the clear winner for the event. Like, I want to say there was only maybe 5 or 6 people that weren't playing anything with Steel in it. Steel was the overwhelmingly popular color. And obviously the people who had the money and the cards were playing Ruby Amethyst as on the other end. So, and then me with my rando weird deck. Which there's me down there. So yeah, I didn't do the worst. One person did worse than me, and I believe that was the guy who dropped at the end of round 3. But yeah, my record was horror bad. But other than that, I like the venue. I like the tournament. It's actually a pretty nice store. They have a cafe in there. There was other events going on at the same time. Had a decent amount of space. Where we were located was kind of wedged together, close together, but thankfully we didn't have the full 48. Otherwise, it probably would have been a lot worse over there. It would have been extremely cramped, and I'm not sure if they would even had enough table space for 48 people, because we were pretty cramped and it was only 26. So I'm not sure how that would have worked out with 22 more people there. I feel like they would have had to bring out more tables or something. But yeah, would I go there again for another event? Yeah, the drive wasn't that bad at all. Even though it's been raining here and the weather's been really bad, it wasn't that bad of a drive. It is longer than what I'm normally used to, but it was pretty easy to get there for where I live. It's like almost a straight line, then 1 turn left, and I'm there. So pretty easy to get there. It's just the distance and the time of the drive. I believe the next event is the pre-release 4 set 2, but that's too far in advance for me to know if I'm going to be working on that day or not. So it's really a coin flip if I'll go out there or not for the pre-release event. Even though this game doesn't do pre-release events, the store is holding a pre-release event, a makeshift one. So I don't think anyone here where I live is doing pre-release events that's closer by. They're just going to have the release event, you pick up your stuff, and then you just leave, which is what I did for when set 1 came out. I went to the store, picked up my stuff, and I left. That was the extent of the release event. That being said, I still like Steel. I think Steel's still my favorite. I'm gonna work on that. Um, I want Sapphire to do well, so hopefully Sapphire gets some more good stuff in set 2. Emerald is looking very, very strong with the cards revealed, especially with like the new beast, which is almost kind of like a mini Aladdin with the shield built in. Um, that card in and of itself is insane so far. That could be the main card of set 2, like how Tinkerbell was a card of set 1. That card might be the card of set 2, and I'm looking at Emerald just with that card alone makes Emerald a way more viable and way more aggressive and a contender, actually a strong contender against red and purple and amber. So be on the lookout for that beast card when set 2 comes out, because it's going to be very expensive when people realize how good it is, and they figure out that that card exists. You will not see or play an Emerald deck without 4 of that in it, because there's just no reason to not play that card. It's too good. Just like with Giant Tinkerbell, it's just too good to not play it if you're in Steel. I believe that's it. I believe that's all I wanted to cover for this tournament report. In other sort of kind of related news, I was able to find a camera upgrade, which is basically a new phone. This phone is on its last legs. I had this phone now, I believe, for 4 years. It's really gone to crap very quickly. The camera barely works. I can't record videos or anything on it for longer than a few minutes before it overheats or crashes or something like that. It's basically done. It's on life support. So I finally was able to find a replacement and upgrade for cheaper. So it should be here this upcoming week, so hopefully I get it, test out, and everything is fine with it. If the camera and stuff works, I may even be able to actually record with it. Maybe not like full games or anything, but do more videos with the phone camera as opposed to having to do it with my desktop setup, which is what I have here essentially. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, if I do any more of these events, I'll try to have a tournament report for them. Because I do want to do Lorcana videos. With how things are going right now, I believe the store where I was doing Shadowverse, I believe they've nuked the Shadowverse Evolve stuff, which is unfortunate. I like the game, I like playing it, but I'm not sure if it was just the low player turnout or any issues with like set 2 or anything like that, because set 2 I don't think is out for Shadowverse Evolve yet, so that game might already be done. Pokemon is coming back, which I will do videos for set 2 release of Lorcana, but I will also do videos for the next Pokemon set pre-release, like a tournament review for that when that comes out, because they're both 1 week after each other. I believe they're both before Black Friday. I believe one is the 2nd week of November and the other one is the 3rd week. So November is kind of a busy month for TCGs with Lorcana and Pokemon. Also, this is the first Pokemon pre-release we've had in like 4 or 5 months. The last one was, in fact, the Obsidian Flames, and that was 2 months ago. So it's been a huge gap with no Pokemon pre-release, because 151 did not have a pre-release or anything like that, because it's not a main set. The next set is getting it. It's also the last set of the year. So there's going to be a lot of hype for this next set. We'll probably have a very big turnout. I've already pre-registered for the next one at my local store. They're probably going to fill up pretty quick. Even if the set doesn't have like a money card or a whole bunch of good cards, and I think a lot of people are going to show up for it just because they're just going to be very bored and want to play a card game, because it's been kind of a slow month. The last 2 months have been kind of slow, kind of dead. Hopefully things pick back up. Even with Lorcana League, which I've mentioned it before, it's like the league is only going to last for so long. even with Ravensburger and Lorcana itself, I don't see them continuing League in the same form throughout the entire game's lifespan. Once they get uh, Lorcana regionals and stuff set up for basically locals weekly tournaments, you're gonna see the league stuff start to fall off. Um, the casual players will still want league, and I still think there's enough people who have interest in league to keep league going. But then the problem becomes: do the stores run league? Do they run the tournaments? Do they run the league alongside the tournaments? Are on the leagues on a different day than the tournaments? And that's all stuff logistically for the stores individually to decide how they're gonna do it. There will probably still be league promos, but I can see them just rolling league into basically the local tournaments. A lot of the casual players, they're not ready for tournaments, based on what I've seen. Also, the little kid presence for this game is not there at all. Even with this event, no one there was like under the age of 21, to the best of my knowledge. There were like no teenagers or kids there. They're not playing this game. They're playing Pokemon. They're not playing this game. So that's why I don't see League sticking around, because without the little kids as a player base for casual play, like I said, League will start to slowly decline until it's no longer there. It's just going to be local tournaments, which local tournaments are fine. I'm okay with that, but a lot of people are not, because they don't like tournaments, they don't like competitiveness, they don't like metas and formats. But they want this game to be competitive, so there's going to be metas and there's going to be formats. And there's going to be tournaments. There's not going to be as much league. Probably as soon as set 3 next year, they're probably going to finalize their tournament rules, their regional rules, and regional locations for what they're going to do. And they're probably even going to have Lorcana World set up for next year, more than likely. I'm kind of betting on them having that all figured out, because set 3, if there's no delays, each set comes out every 3 months. Set 3 will be in February. That is going to be competing with the other new TCG, which is going to be Star Wars Unlimited. That's also planning to come out in the spring of next year. I believe is currently planned for February, but we'll see if that actually happens or not. They could delay it. Lorcana at least hasn't delayed any of their sets, even though the supply has not been there. They haven't delayed anything yet. They've stuck their release dates, so I fully expect them to release set 3 in February. And like I said, these sets are coming out very, very fast because that's what they want. The casual players are still obsessing over set 1 and still can't even get set 1. But set 2 is going to be out literally in a month. And it's like, for people like me, I'm done with set 1. I got everything I want from set 1 for the decks I wanted to play. I'm ready for set 2. I've already moved on to set 2. The casual players, they're not even there yet. They're going to be trying to chase stuff from set 1, and set 2 is going to already be out. And they're going to start falling behind, because then set 3 is in February. So, like, you see how this game is going to be geared towards competitive players with the consistent set releases and everything else going on, that the casual players are just going to fall out of it, and they're probably going to end up quitting, or they're just going to stay casual, but they're going to be playing kitchen table Lorcana. They're not going to be playing at the local stores anymore, which I foresee that happening, and it's probably going to be happening very, very soon. It's something that, if you're a casual player, you probably should be aware of, that that's the direction the game is heading. That's what's going to be happening. At the bare minimum, get what you want out of set 1 now while you can. Just buy the singles. You don't have much of a choice. Buy the singles on TCG Player or eBay or Amazon, wherever. Try to avoid getting scalped, paying higher than normal prices. Get the cards as close to whatever the actual price of the card is that you can. So that way when set 2 comes out, you can focus on set 2 and get the stuff you want to set 2. Because if you're still on set 1 and you're behind, set 2 comes out, you're going to still be behind for set 2. Because set 2 is going to be sold out, and you're not going to even have any of the stuff. You're still going to be trying to get set 1 stuff, because you have to keep up with the set releases. Because then when set 3 comes out, you're still going to be on, you might have finished set 1 by then, going after set 2, but then set 3 is going to be out. You're just going to fall further and further behind. So just a little tip for the casual players, keep in mind how this is going to work. Try to keep up with the set releases if you want to keep playing the game, or you're just going to fall too far behind to even get back into it, or even progress beyond casual if you choose to do so, or if you want to. But yeah, this video is way longer than I wanted to be, but that's it. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. And until the next video, I will see you all next time.